Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to Breakfast All Day. It's so great to be back. So great to see you. I'm Christy. That is Alonso. We are talking about Candyman next. We are playing catch up with Candyman, which came out theatrically last week. I went to a matinee of it by myself yesterday afternoon and did not come home and say the word 5 times in front of the mirror because I'm not stupid.
That's well done. I got sent a link, which is why I got to see this movie. So
They sent you a link. Wow.
they did. So yeah, Disney, other studios are managing to send out links for their big theatrical releases. So this is a remake, reboot, sequel, depending on how you want to look at it, of the original Bernard Rose film. Directed by DaCosta, and she co-wrote it with Jordan Peele. And the premise is that Cabrini Green, the site of most of the action of the first film, is very quickly has over time become very gentrified, and the towers have been torn down. They're down to the row houses, and there are suddenly a return of the unexplained deaths that have been going on, and an artist is told the legend of Candyman, begins creating some very dark and disturbing paintings, and sort of manifests his return. It is both a modernization of the original legend, but also a return to the original legend, which comes up in the film. The 19th century artist who had his arm cut off and was covered in honey and allowed to have and left to die by bee stings. The artist is played by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II from Westworld, and he's
Watchmen.
Yes, Watchmen. Sorry, it was an HBO show with a W. I was real close. And his girlfriend and gallerist is played by Teyonah Parris from Captain Marvel and Mad Men. And this movie, there's so much to like about it, and then so much that also just doesn't quite work. Colman Domingo plays the guy who sort of knows all the Candyman lore and is one of the last sort of remaining people from the Cabrini Green neighborhood, who's there to provide exposition and also, as we find out, other things as well. But the movie stops to tell you what it's about a lot, and it doesn't necessarily expand upon the themes of the original in a way that is particularly provocative. You would think that with DaCosta, who did Little Woods, and obviously Jordan Peele, coming from his background, would really kind of find new and different ways to work with this mythos, and they don't do it as much. And when they do it, it's a movie that kind of stops to talk about what it's about a lot. On the other hand, I did love looking at this movie. I was saying on Twitter how Dave and I, after Schmigadoon on Apple TV, have been going back and rewatching a lot of the old classic movie musicals. And when you watch the CinemaScope musicals of the 50s, because they weren't really dealing with a lot of depth of field with the anamorphic lenses, you get these very shallow frames. So it's wide, but everybody's like, as one person said, it's like they're all standing on a ladder that's been turned onto its side. So I love how DaCosta's camera, or the DaCosta and the cinematographer, make so many of the shots really deep. Like there's a lot of hallway, there's a lot of just kind of long rooms, and it adds to the tension. It adds to the terror. There's also a use of these kind of shadow puppets to sort of animate aspects of the Candyman legend that are interesting. It's very kind of Lottie Reiniger looking kind of stuff. But yeah, ultimately, I think this movie doesn't quite nail what it's trying to do.
Interestingly, you mentioned the cinematographer. His name is John Gulasari, and he also shot the next movie we're going to talk about, which is He's All That.
Oh, wow.
That's called range, baby.
You cannot pinpoint this guy's look.
Also, I think Teyonah Parris was in WandaVision.
Yes,
right. Well, not Captain Marvel, but she was in WandaVision.
She's going to be. She's in the next Captain
Marvel.
The Marvels.
Anyway,
yes.
Let's make sure we're clear on that. And it's a great cast.
Yes.
There is so much that they are trying to juggle here, and you're right. It never quite comes together, which is very surprising given who is bringing this to us. I feel like Jordan Peele, of course, has been able to capture that horror with the social commentary in a way that is thrilling and terrifying, but also has something to say in a way that really, leaves its mark. So much horror, of course, comes from a place of social commentary, and movies are trying to make a point about the society and we live through scaring us. And this is very much in that vein. It's not really scary, but it also very infrequently achieves the sense of dread that I feel like it seeks. There is like an unevenness to its pacing, and there is like a detachment to the kills, and there's a slickness to it that detracts from the heavier points the film is trying to make. Like there's just a weirdness with the like moments that should build in tension. Like there's a scene that takes place in a high school girl's bathroom. That just feels like it comes out of nowhere, and it feels very rushed.
It felt like a deleted scene, that scene.
Yeah, and it but there are lots of moments that feel like that, as if there's a jumbled nature to the pacing. There's not a steady build. And one thing that's really shocking here is that they managed to render Yahya Abdul-Mateen II just kind of inert. Like he's kind of a passenger here, and he's got such an incredible presence about him. He's gorgeous. He's a gorgeous man, but he also has a tremendous screen presence and any kind of not fearsomeness, but like
intensity.
That's a good word for it. Like whatever he can bring, he does not here for some reason. And he's more of a passenger and more of a conduit for the action. His transformation is what brings us through. But I don't know, other people have a stronger sense of personality. Teyonah Parris's character does. Teyonah Parris's gay brother leaves more of an impression than that. Colman Domingo does. Yeah. And so I don't know whether it's intentional that because he's our conduit, it's intended to let the supporting players stand out more.
He's sort of acted upon,
Yeah, it's really weird. I don't feel like the little paper puppet things add much. It feels like a distraction and like an interesting idea that they just felt like, okay, we got to keep going with it. We've introduced this conceit. We've got to keep going with it. And I don't know that it necessarily adds much. I can see using it like in a flashback structure in the beginning to describe what happened in that Cabrini Green fire that the first Candyman's about.
They also do return to it a lot. I'll
in a way that like, I don't know that it adds much as the film goes on. And then the uncomfortable nature of like including Virginia Madsen as in just like her voice from the first film is
and
like
Vanessa Williams from the first film.
Yeah, like is this a sequel? Is this a remake? And so the ambiguity of it I found kind of weird too.
I mean, by the time Vanessa Williams shows up, it's pretty clear the movie's telling you what it wants to be, but it doesn't necessarily earn that distinction, or it doesn't necessarily make it feel more coherent once you know what the deal is.
Also, I would say, aside from those kind of cool upside down shots of Chicago at night, I don't know that they use Chicago as a place in a way that's particularly compelling. Like this story could take place in a lot of cities.
Yeah.
And Cabrini Green as a place, what it represents in terms of the gentrification that has occurred there is very specific. And the film doesn't necessarily invoke that in a way that it couldn't have happened in any other city in America.
Yeah. They use Cabrini Green in the original film, I think, in a very evocative way that's very specific. And I mean, maybe the point of this is because of gentrification, all cities look alike, but if that is the point, they didn't sell that enough, and so it just kind of comes off, you're right, feeling like this could be anywhere.
The lofts are kind of bland. The streets that the lofts now sit on are kind of bland. And maybe that's the point. Maybe you're right about that. Maybe that's the idea, is that this is just like an yuppified neighborhood.
But I think if that's what you're gonna do, you have to sort of sell it to the audience in a way where you're not just like, oh, we're not merely, indulging in anonymity. We're saying something about, urban anonymity,
Anyway, I'm saying 5.2.
What did I say?
You said 6.
6. Yeah, I think there are, like I said, there's a lot of craft here that I think is interesting, but it just doesn't all really come together in a way that was satisfying enough.
So 5.6 is our number. Candyman is in theaters now, and maybe eventually will be out.
I think within about a month or so, probably it will be streaming. But you can wait.
I agree.
So thanks for watching. Like this video, subscribe to our YouTube channel, follow us at BeFastAllDay on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, and check out our Patreon page at patreon.com/BeFastAllDay. We're talking about Ted Lasso. We've got some other cool stuff coming up that's going to be exclusive for our subscribers, so you should become one. Until next time, bye.